Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the Soundwalking Podcast, the place where we talk about the music industry and everything related to it. Let me see if I can fix my camera angle. Okay, so yes. Well, with that being said, today we're going to be talking about our impressions of Black Sabbath's alleged last concert. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think? Do you like it? Did you watch it? Were you aware of it?
I actually wasn't aware of it before it happened. I didn't watch it real time, of course, because I wasn't aware of it. After I scouted the internet for bits and pieces, because of course the full thing hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
But I got a general idea of what happened and how the whole thing went.
Yes. So first impressions, good or bad?
Very mixed, being very honest. I think the moment that was created, the whole thing, looking at it as an event,
yes,
I think was quite remarkable. Because
was it? Because I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't like it that much.
Well, we can get to it then, but I think that the lineup, the people that they got on stage at different points
that
of
was
the
kind of
event
impressive.
Was impressive. I think they got some excellent musicians and some musicians along the way.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know, this took place during the weekend.
The
5th in Birmingham, in the UK, and it was a concert on which Black Sabbath was, of course. It was closer to a festival thing rather than a concert, because you got plenty of different bands either playing their music plus paying homage to Black Sabbath by playing one of their tracks.
Yeah,
and to different degrees of excellence. Yeah, I may say. So and it was hosted somewhat and somehow, and that's probably the first point of content on contest. It was hosted by or emceed by Jason Momoa. Yes. Yeah, the actor who pretended to be Aquaman and tried to convince the world that he was Aquaman while not looking like Aquaman. So yeah, first and foremost, let me address a comment here brought by Joss. He's saying he couldn't join the conversation, but kudos to him and thank you for supporting the channel and everything.
Yes.
He said that, look at that. change the angle while I'm reading. He says that retire. He thinks that Ozzy said that he will just retire from touring, but still hit the recording studio. Musicians can't retire. It's on our soul and blood. Have a good show, thank you. Yes, in that regard, I agree. But Ozzy should have left the stages years ago.
Yeah, he kind of left this moment to happen a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Even seeing how he played it, the whole thing about him being in the chair throughout the entire performance, it was a way to play it.
What do you mean by a chair? Could you explain that to those who didn't know about the event?
Okay, so there was a lot of bands playing through the whole thing, but at a given point in time, Ozzy actually joined the fray.
They were the headliners.
Yes, of course. And he popped up, literally, because he came up the stage sitting on a throne.
On a throne. Actually, the throne was badass.
It was badass. And actually, I think the whole outlook was correctly portrayed, because even though it's kind of awful, the fact that he needs to be sitting down for the entire show.
That was the big problem.
Yeah.
He's unable to keep up with the rock show now, man.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's old, because the rest of the band, the rest of Black Sabbath, performed flawlessly.
Yeah,
they were at the top of their game.
Geezer was excellent.
Probably the best of the band.
Yeah.
And the problem was that Ozzy, it seems, or at least from the comments that I read on Twitter, X, people were saying that Ozzy had to be sitting because he developed Parkinson's syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad to hear. So why are you performing? First question. It didn't look good, man.
I'm gonna play the devil advocate here. He couldn't know when life would push him to a point where he wouldn't be able to perform correctly anymore.
Dude, having the life he got and doing all sorts of substances
and more and
some,
yeah,
he knew, man. There is no way for him to not be aware of his health condition. And we saw it even when they had that terrible reality show. You saw his declining health dramatically, man. Even the whole shtick of the show was kind of making fun of him being kind of senile and
kind of crazy. Yeah.
So
the fact that the show happened was kind of...
It was, in my opinion, it felt more like a cash grab. Being very frank, I'm going to be super blunt with this one. Because it felt like, let me bring everybody that only millennials will be reactive to. Because we were having this discussion when you were showing me some of the clips that you found on the internet.
Yeah.
They got Travis Barker, the guy from Blink-182. He's a good drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good and all, but
what's he doing there?
Where is Testament? For real, metal, or at least rock, not happy punk. With all due respect, I don't have issues with that, but it doesn't belong there, man.
Yeah, it's kind of out of place.
And I'm not trying to be controversial for the sake of controversy. It's simply like there are more options, man.
Yeah,
that are way more fitting. Sorry for interrupting, but
okay.
Where is Mike Portnoy?
Because for instance, even Chad Smith, because I'm not drunk,
there
as well, and he's one that I know or our stance on him. We both respect him quite a lot as a musician, and he's actually one of the best drummers I can think of in many regards. Of course, technically speaking, well, overall drummer.
Yes.
And I still think that it's kind of out of place for him to be there, because Red Hot Chili Peppers really have nothing to do with Black Sabbath.
But they are at least they're rock.
Yeah.
That is kind of on the lighter side of things, man. Yeah. And Black Sabbath is through heavy metal, not heavy metal, through metal, because they went through pace.
Yeah.
So,
but they're basically the forefathers of heavy metal.
Yeah, some people actually consider Black Sabbath to be probably the biggest push for metal.
Yeah.
And
I can agree with that.
Late 60s. Yes, I happen to agree. I differ a little bit in the sense of you also have to give credit to Deep Purple, and to a certain degree
Rainbow.
Rainbow, of course, but to a certain degree freaking Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
They have their moments.
As well as what happens with Deep Purple.
Yeah.
But in general, Black Sabbath is clearly one of the big chunks, if not the biggest chunks in metal when it comes to the development of the genre.
Yeah, I do think that they are attributed with the birth of heavy metal as a genre. Of course, there was music from before. You already cited a few of the examples.
Yes.
That were already doing stuff that was heavy enough and stylistically close enough to be considered heavy metal. But as a genre, it wasn't a thing. It kind of became a thing after the advent of Black Sabbath.
It's what is known as, or is considered to be, or is usually known as proto-metal.
Yeah.
And the one that is fully proto-metal is Black Sabbath. You got adjacent acts such as the ones that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So now, going back to the concert, in my opinion, Ozzy was kind of a letdown. Because not only he couldn't perform correctly by standing up, he didn't sing correctly, man.
No. Actually, I saw. Of course, as I mentioned, I didn't see the full performance, but from what I saw, especially on what was it, War Pigs.
Yeah, War Pigs.
Yeah, the performance was actually very, very bad.
Yeah, he was even off tempo.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, and this can be a point for the conversation, okay? How much should be forgiven? Because we understand that he's old, he's sick at this point in time, he has damaged himself throughout decades of his life, and he decided to do this now. It is known that he wouldn't be at the top of his game.
Yes,
everybody knew. Yeah. So how much should be forgiven when it comes to the discrepancies in the performance and fails in the performance?
Yeah,
itself?
because the first thing that I noticed was that all of the songs were down-tuned, super down-tuned.
Yeah.
I don't know how many because I didn't pay that much attention, but I realized that the songs were in a different tune, but lower. Why?
Yeah,
it's usually due to singers having problems with reaching the notes that they used to when younger.
Yeah,
that's been done by many people, but not everybody. Hashtag not all, because you got plenty of acts that are still hitting the right notes. Yeah. Not that many. Jess comes to mind. Somehow they're still able to do it. But Ian is a great singer.
Yeah.
Even now, Deep Purple also has a little bit of things that Deep Purple is way too complex. But whatever. I digress.
Yeah, regardless.
It was way too much because the first clip I saw was them performing Crazy Train. Let me explain. Ozzy was the first to hit the stage out of the main band. Fix the angle. out of the main band members, Ozzy was the first one that actually hit the stage as Ozzy Osbourne, and the first track that he played was Crazy Train. And one of the comments that I read was, "It's on there, cameraman. You're controlling the one on top."
Yeah, I had changed that.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
He played Crazy Train, and the comment said that it felt like the guitar player was auditioning to join the band, showing off at every opportunity. I'm like, why? Then I click on the
That's a harsh criticism, being very honest.
It's very harsh.
Yeah.
He's not really correct. And the guitar player was Zach Wild, mind you. So the official Ozzy Osbourne guitar player for what, 30-something years at this stage.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's coming up with new ideas or trying to be flashy. No.
Yeah.
I clicked on it. I watched the performance. Like, obviously, Ozzy is he's trying to cover the spaces, man.
Yeah.
Then you told me that it's because they played the emotional "My Man Coming Home."
Yeah.
Great track by Ozzy Osbourne before Crazy Train. So what? That's not an excuse, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was simply off, man. It was kind of sad to see.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit disheartened by watching him being at this state.
Yeah, because actually you mentioned something earlier which kind of stuck to me, because my overall impression is not necessarily a bad one of the event. I think it's a very interesting mobilization, thank you, of artists, and it creates a very unique moment for the fan base to actually live through. But one thing that you mentioned that I can agree with that is very sad to see an artist that you have so much respect for and that you cherish as an artist, as a source of inspiration, sucking
hard.
Yeah, it shouldn't get to that point.
No.
Because even though I get creating that whole moment and everything, it was too late to do it.
It should have happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was very disappointed with that. Being very frank, I haven't watched the entire show because I truly don't want to. I already watched enough. I saw some of the performance by the other bands. We're going to tackle those later because I also have plans to say about those. Some of them were excellent. Some of them were terrible. And just to finish off with the whole thing with Black Sabbath, I think if you remove the emotional thing and the fanboyism that is involved with it, and how Ozzy Osbourne is actually the only guy from the band that actually is known by the masses, being very honest. Because, dude, I love Black Sabbath. I happen to be a huge Black Sabbath fan. My particular take is very well known at this station, this channel, is the version with Ozzy, with Dio. Way better band, but it's very different from Black Sabbath OG. And still, I love their music. Very, very much influenced by them. It's one of those bands that I got into when I was young enough to actually be not being blown away, being actually inspired by. Because it was one of the first bands that I actually got into that were playing. Not the things that I began with Metallica, but when I discovered Black Sabbath, I could see how much Metallica learned from them. And, oh, this is earlier, at least 15 years. Oh, wow, important, interesting. And I kept digging around, great compositions. And one thing that I learned from them, and I actually adopted to my music, is how to use that dark element without relying on synthesizers. No atmosphere. It's the sound. It's there. It's the composition itself, man. And that's like, oh wow. That's cool. No sound design.
Dark.
It's dark sounding. Even the tone of the guitar, of course, I'm gonna go fangirl with this guy, but the Tommy Young is fantastic guitar player, incredibly cool, and a great sounding guitar. His tone is unique.
It is.
And of course, he has I don't know which finger, but it's half metal.
That's
badass. Because
it seems like he built it himself because he was in metallurgy or something.
When he was a kid, or not a kid, a young guy, he had an accident because he was working in a metal factory. He had an accident with one of the presses and he lost a chunk of his finger. So he allegedly built. No, he did. He built a kind of quasi prosthesis that allowed him to play. And a good chunk of the tone of his guitar is due to that. That's
the history alone is metal.
That's full metal. You cannot go more metal than that. So insane and great tone, fantastic guitar player, an excellent composer.
Indeed.
His stuff is fantastic. So Geezer. Well, man, that guy is at best.
He's probably the best in the band. From a technical standpoint, the whole ensemble is what makes Black Sabbath. But looking at a member by member basis, I do think that Geezer is probably the best musician in the band.
I agree because Bill Ward was also excellent. And he's an excellent drummer as well. Very influential. Very influential because once again, he's one of those musicians that manage to create that dark ambience with drums.
Yeah.
No sound design again. That's something that is very impactful to me.
It's like an aura.
It's an aura. We are using this more modern terminology, but yeah, it's that, man.
Yeah.
They project that kind of dark tone without having to rely on the crazy stuff that we do today.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're playing the chip tricks.
Yeah, actually.
So now let's go to let's move over to the performances by other musicians. What do you think? Which ones did you see?
It's a mixed bag because look, just out of the top of my head, we saw stuff by Metallica, by
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains. Let me start with Alice in Chains now that you brought it up, because actually, personally, out of the stuff that I saw, I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw a few. Alice in Chains were doing really well.
Oh yeah.
They did. First were Boots.
Yes.
Yeah, and first and foremost, it's a very good track.
Yeah.
It's kind of underrated.
It is. Because all the good stuff was picked by the bigger bands, man.
Yeah.
And even though Alice in Chains is Alice in Chains,
yeah,
Metallica is there, dude. And Guns N' Roses, man, what can I do?
And Tool,
but yeah. So.
But they did a very good rendition, actually.
Fantastic.
The singing was on point.
Oof.
I don't know the name of the new singer for Alice in Chains.
Me neither, but I've been a huge fan of them on both eras. When with Laney and with this guy, I also forget his name. Fantastic, he's the black dude. Awesome singer, fantastic singer, and great on the stage.
Yeah.
And when they play the old tracks, nailed, full on. Even better because he's much more control.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into that area. I'm not going to get into that discussion. I'm just being objective.
He is. I know what you're thinking, and he is.
Yes, but wherever. Great, awesome.
The other band that was mentioned here already, which is on the complete other end of the spectrum for me anyway, was Tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw Tool doing the Tool thing on stage. They were playing Anima.
Yeah.
And also the cover. The cover, which one was it?
I don't remember the name.
I'll try to remember.
Please, for those of you watching, please remind us the name of the cover being played by Tool during the show, but it was too much, man.
Yeah.
They didn't capture the essence.
Yeah.
Felt like too much Tool.
Yeah. I think we have some comments there. If you
yes. Hermetics, sup?
Yeah, Hermetics.
William Duval was awesome. Hey, guys, sup? William Duval. Oh, yeah. William Duval is the name. He's the name.
Of
yes.
The singer.
Yeah, he's the singer.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank Harry. Yes. Yeah. Fantastic, right? He's a fantastic singer, but he was awesome in that.
Yeah, he nailed it.
He was probably the top of the show.
And look, what I find it awesome that he did, because he wasn't doing. He was controlled to the point that he was bringing his singing closer to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes.
Retaining the personality of his own singing, but you could see him kind of modulating.
Yeah, trying to mimic him.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you are singing a cover. By the way, I recorded a cover of Chris Cornell's Soundgarden.
That was so shameless of you.
Shameless. No effort whatsoever. But yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah. Now, coming back to Tool, I think they didn't do it correctly.
They didn't capture either the essence of the song or the essence of Black Sabbath on stage. Because the song itself felt... It wasn't badly played because they're good musicians.
Yes.
But it wasn't projected correctly. And on stage, now looking at it as a show, it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
To be very honest.
Yeah, they were kind of just standing.
Yeah.
And then you went for Metallica. God damn.
The other end of the spectrum,
Jesus. Metallica, for as evil, as terrible as they are, I can't stop loving them, man.
Yeah.
They're Metallica for a reason.
Yeah, no, and we, when we were downstairs, we actually saw those videos kind of back to back.
Yes.
And just seeing, even before the song started, we saw like James
already
just standing there and locking eyes with the crowd.
Yes.
And it was a completely different experience already.
Yeah.
Even before the song started.
Yeah. They weren't playing music. They were just kind of getting started for the second song.
Yeah.
Kicking ass.
Yeah.
Just kicking like, oh, damn it.
That's a stage presence and no BS.
Yeah, every time that I want to hate on you, I can't.
No,
I can't.
It's very hard to hate on Metallica, even though it's very easy as well.
His love-hate relationship.
It is.
Yeah. Also, one of the first clips that I saw from that show was Ghost playing one of Ozzy Osbourne's tracks. It was Bark at the Moon. Mm-hmm. Great track. It's one of that album is fantastic, by the way.
Which one is that from? That's
Bark at the Moon.
No.
Is it? Yeah, or there? No, it is. Of course, yes. Now I'm confused.
Well, regardless, someone's gonna correct us.
Yeah.
That's what the internet is for.
Yeah, but I think I'm correct. But whatever. Yeah, because now I'm confused. But yes, whatever. It was sang about. It was Tom Morello. No, it was. I think it. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I saw a black guy on a guitar. I think it's Tony McAlpine, fantastic guitar player.
I think Nuno was also
and it was Nuno Betancourt playing guitar with them. No man, it was a freaking all-star.
Another highlight of the whole the festival. Let's call it a festival.
Yes.
I think was Nuno playing the guitar. He's excellent.
He's one of my top 5, man.
Yeah,
he's clearly one of the best guitar players ever, man. Because he's tasteful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's fun to look at because he's very. He has the rock star thing, and great taste in music.
Yeah, and he knows how to balance being an acrobatic guitar player,
yes,
giving you a show,
yes,
and being very musical as well.
Yeah, man, super. Yeah, and it was Chad Smith, I think, on the drums. And for that, I might have been correct, or might have been correct.
Yeah.
And when they played Back of the Moon, it was the singer for Ghost.
Yeah. What do you think?
Nah, I was disappointed, greatly disappointed, because Ghost is a good band. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he delivered the energy. No. He felt that probably his voice wasn't the correct one for the ensemble. I'm gonna put it that way. He felt that his voice didn't belong. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what you think. You just saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it, and the way I felt about it, and you can give me your opinion afterwards if you want, is that he was smaller than the music. Like, the music was bigger than him. And it didn't translate correctly. I don't think it was necessarily a bad take on the song. I think the song was played correctly.
Yeah, it was excellent.
But I think the vocals kind of... I wouldn't go to the point of saying that they were a letdown, but they didn't deliver what you would expect out of such a great song.
I wouldn't say that they sucked. I simply, I feel that it didn't fit correctly. It was probably the wrong song for him.
Yeah,
because he's not a bad singer. He's simply not that good. If that, don't kill me. You get what I'm saying, and you get what I'm trying to say. It's not that I'm attacking the guy, but it's difficult to sing someone else's music in a way that makes sense and pay homage to the original singer. Here we got a comment. Roman Galindo saying, in the 70s, Uriah Heep, of course, I should have remembered those guys. Of course, Uriah Heep, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple were the heaviest, 100%. Yes, it was the only one missing was Uriah Heep.
Yeah.
Fantastic band. Are you familiar with them?
Passingly.
You should.
Be very honest.
Yeah, very good. Because they are heavy, but a little bit proggy. They have plenty of acrobatics. Not acrobatics in the sense of, I don't know, Van de Graaff generator, but they got the fun factor, but the evil factor. The fun factor of Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple with the more evil sound at times from Black Sabbath.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. And 70s like.
Okay.
So it has that badass classic rock element, but heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they are in my head they are way closer to Black Sabbath in tone and approach to composing music than the Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin are.
Okay, because it's a little bit darker it's
a little bit darker, but they have a little bit more of the rock and roll bluesy stuff.
Okay.
Still present. Black Sabbath went a little to darker territory. Uriah Heep still has that particular more, how can I put it, enjoyable. I don't know. You get me. Because it's not about being better. I run out of words, but I think it makes sense.
I got a general idea.
Yeah. So then we also saw one performance by Guns N' Roses because people were bashing them.
Yeah. Because when I was on the lookout for the show itself or the festival, I also saw some comments and stuff like that. Mixed up in the bag, and I saw a lot of criticism to Guns N' Roses' performance before I actually saw their performance. And when I did, honestly, I don't see what people were on about. I think they did pretty great.
Yeah.
Being very honest.
Yeah.
They delivered what you expect out of Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, and actually, I don't remember the name. I just forgot the name of the track, but that's the one they played.
Yeah. I'm horrible with names, so...
Yeah. I'm trying to remember right now.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching, please remind me, because I suck as well. Guns N' Roses did a good job on that one.
Yeah,
I think they were just bashing on them because it's fashionable to bash Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's click on it, let's see what's going on with that one.
Yeah.
And I was suspecting the traditional Axl Rose is very bad. He's a bad singer. No, he's not.
Yeah.
He has a very peculiar way to sing.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And even his voice itself, his timbre is kind of odd.
It's very odd.
Yeah.
It's very odd, but his range is insane, and he still delivers. When I saw him, by force, I don't have to go down. I don't have to explain details. It was kind of by force.
Yeah.
They delivered a great show and playing everything to the right.
And the kind of recent, we're talking about already about kind of modern Axl.
Yeah, very modern. This Axl.
Yeah.
Top of the line.
Yeah.
Top of the game. And fantastic, fantastic everything on the Guns N' Roses show.
Yeah.
And in this case, proper.
Yep.
And the song that actually made sense for his vocal style.
Yeah, it worked.
The only thing is that, well, it sounds like Guns N' Roses singing and playing Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
He cannot sing it all away, man.
He cannot trade his voice.
No. And even like William Duval did, he did just a great. Silent Boys out. Thank you. I suck at the names.
Yeah.
Yes, but he's saying here, Axel Mouse. No, thinks that he's tiny. He's like, on the stage he's gonna, and since he's a little bit chubby.
The thing that he's rock and roll's favorite punching bag.
He is.
Yeah.
He is indeed. It's him and Metallica, or Lars Ulrich.
But I think Metallica earned it more, being very honest.
Yeah, their actions have been very, very much terrible.
Look, is he Harry Meyer saying it?
Yeah, no, he's just dropping the different comments.
No, well, if you watched it, because it seems like you did, because you're telling us plenty of things about it.
Yes.
Do you have a highlight? What was your favorite part about it?
Please share with us which one was the point on which you decided to say, I'm gonna keep watching.
Yeah.
And which was the point on which you felt like, I'm going to stop doing this?
Yeah, was there a letdown throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, because...
I'm curious to know what you think.
I wasn't excited for the show because probably I began by watching the worst stuff first. And I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
But, when they performed, Guns N' Roses was a good show, I think.
Yeah.
Also, there was this kind of drum off.
Yeah.
That when you told me that they had a drum off, who is playing? The guy from Blink-182. Okay.
Yeah, Travis.
Then Chad Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Chad is already the better drummer. And then the guy from Tool. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Look, it was fun.
Danny, isn't it?
Danny
Right?
Carey.
Oh, that guy is a fantastic. No, man,
Yeah.
He was like mopping the floor.
Yeah.
Just by numbers, like, no, man.
No, but look.
Don't do that to yourself.
Let me give you my impression as a drummer of what I saw.
Okay, as a little drummer boy.
As a little drummer boy. The three drummers that were on stage at that point, they are all good drummers.
Yeah,
they
100%.
have very different styles.
I agree, but they are very good.
Because I respect Travis, even though it's kind of out of his league to talk about Travis as top-end drummer.
Yeah.
Being very honest, I think he's very good, and he's excellent at being a good drummer, showman.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great showman. He delivers a very a good spectacle when it comes to drumming on stage.
Yeah, because he's athletic, acrobatic,
Yeah.
flashy enough,
Yeah.
and delivers. He doesn't miss.
Yeah, and his energy is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he's actually a great showman on the drums.
That's a quintessential definition of a rock and roll drummer.
Yeah, so badass. I actually respect him quite a lot as a showman drummer.
Yes.
On the other hand, we had Chad Smith, which...
Is everything?
No, let me go to Danny Carey first. On the other end of the spectrum, you have Danny Carey. He's extremely technical. He's a very good drummer.
The first seconds of his section, like, dude, he already killed him.
Yeah. Because
that was bad.
He played way more technically. He played way more complex stuff.
Yeah.
And he delivered perfectly. He was very good.
Only for nerds.
Yeah, because actually when it comes to the show aspect of it, I think it was a little bit, even though he was doing something that was way trickier than any other of the other two did,
yes,
it was a little bit more boring. Because the delivery wasn't as energetic, wasn't as
flashy,
spectacular.
Yeah, because he went for very technical at a rhythmical level.
Yeah.
Rather than as a spectacle level. Yeah.
And then there's Chad Smith, which in my personal opinion, nailed it because he makes the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
He was a little bit more technical than Travis, for instance, when it comes to the decisions of what to play and stuff.
But not overly technical.
Not overly technical, prioritizing delivering a good show, which is what you're there to do. Because if you're soloing on stage, this solo is supposed to impact people and make people think this is badass.
Yeah, not like
it's not for the audience to be doing math.
Yeah, no, of course not. Of course not. I agree 100%.
So that's why I think that actually the star of that drum off, in my opinion, was Chad.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And all in all, I was expecting something terrible from that drum off. Oh, it was good.
No, it was fun.
Actually, they did because they didn't. It was like what, a minute or so.
No, it was a little bit more, but still, it wasn't super in the.
It wasn't boring.
Yeah.
Because drum solos, for as flash as they are, they go all fast.
Hey.
Yeah, no, they do go all fast because it's too much trashiness. Or if you want to keep it interesting, you gotta go the nerdy route.
Yeah.
And the nerdy route, like. Because nobody gets it, man.
Get to the chorus.
Yeah, get to the chorus, don't bars. Yes. Here, Roman Galindo is saying that Steven Tyler's doing Whole Lotta Love was the highlight. Actually, he kicked ass. It was when I told him to watch some of the stuff.
Yeah.
It was because I saw Steven Tyler kicking ass.
And I was surprised with how great shape as a singer.
Yeah.
He still is.
Yeah, he like forever.
And look, even
no difference in his voice.
This in some degree, and I will take us into kind of controversial grounds once again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a kick in the gonads for Ozzy.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of from the same period, a little bit, like tiny bit later, but
Man,
doing the same amount of substances. Because also and preserving himself as a singer.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised. He
Yeah.
delivered like mightily.
Yeah, but he also earns more points because Liv Tyler.
Yeah, so that's always a scoring point.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, but it was a badass moment actually.
Yeah, he delivered it amazingly well. And I think in that ensemble, Chad was playing the drums.
I can't remember what was
Tom Morello was on guitar.
Mm.
I don't remember. I didn't see the bass player because I just saw. Well, of course, most of the. Well, I think all of the footage is just coming from the people there, the attendees.
Yeah, because there's no, official footage. Of course, there should be behind paywalls, but.
I don't know. Well, we don't know. Well, of course there should be because it's Sharon.
And look, we need to get to that point at a given point of the conversation, the whole product side of this. Yeah. Because it's also big when it comes to Ozzy Osbourne, because it's also big when it comes to Sharon.
Yes.
So we can get to that in a moment. But music first.
Yeah, music first. We also, but Steven Tyler was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Also, speaking of Tom Morello, did you see that Jack Black?
Yeah. He sang, what was it that he sang?
He sang.
I think it was one of the good ones.
Yeah, but it was with Tom Morello's son on guitar. Mm-hmm. Why is he there? Well. Let's begin from there. Again, if you didn't bring, where's Mastodon?
I think Mastodon was there.
Was there?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was part of the lineup.
Okay, so that makes me more excited. But where is Exodus now? Exodus. And Testament.
Because the lineup was actually very extensive. I think out of the stuff that we didn't mention, there was Gojira, I think there was Mastodon, there was, what else? Because there was plenty. The lineup was very, very wide.
But it's kind of the super popular bands, right?
Kinda.
Because for example, Exodus and Testament. Testament is badass. I keep praising Testament.
And nobody cares.
And nobody cares. No, things that Testament it's a renowned band. It's not one of those obscure, weird ass. Roddy Sardo was playing the bass. Oh, thank you, Roman. Fantastic bass player as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but coming back to Testament, they belong there because they are from the early '80s. Mm-hmm. They come from the same period as Metallica. Mm-hmm. But no, we gotta have Blink-182 somehow, and Jack Black. I always mix them up.
Yeah.
Totally different people.
Yeah.
so yeah, mm-hmm. That was kind of. Kind of the selection of bands. Some of them were very good.
Yeah.
Some of them were questionable. For example, that young blood kid. Mm-hmm. Why are you there?
And look, that young blood kid is an interesting phenomenon because I think there's something going on in the background. He's being pushed very hard, and even this instance of him performing, I saw I was scouting the internet for things about this.
Okay.
And there was quite a lot of praise to his performance specifically, and even stuff from Ozzy himself. It seems. I think
almost like you feel that you're being lighted by gas.
If you ask me, I think Sharon is pushing Ozzy aside and adopting the young blood kid.
I think the same. I truly believe that the whole push. They even had some footage of Sharon and their daughter. Talking with young blood, telling him how much he reminds them of young Ozzy Osbourne. Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
Feels very, very forced. Yeah.
Yes.
And look, from what I saw of his
Mr. Cruel. He played Mr. Cruel.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, true. Yeah, I love that track.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's one of the quintessential ones.
Yeah.
But look, coming back to young blood, I think that he wasn't bad. From what I saw, I don't think it was a bad performance. I think he delivered. Was it young Ozzy? No.
But why is he there? He's like a male version, allegedly, of Billie Eilish. Have you heard the stuff?
Yeah,
the stuff before this show?
No, not before this, but I check it out after.
No, it's that dark pop stuff.
But I think he's being pushed in a different direction.
This is rebranding him.
Yeah.
Because they realize, wait a second, we got plenty of market to hit with this, right? Mm-hmm. And because the big guys on rock music are simply retiring or dying off, it's simply order of nature.
Yeah.
So the people who controls the business are realizing, wait a second, there is an opportunity there.
Yeah.
So I felt that it was rebranding. That's an open conversation for you guys as well, because in my opinion, I was like, why in the name of F you are here?
Yeah, regardless of the... You're coming back to Testament. You're really pissed off.
Yes, I am.
Well, look, regardless of how he performed live, I think the question, why is he here, is a good one.
Yes.
Because it's kind of nonsensical.
It is very nonsensical because, look, even Jack Black being there, I accepted because he only played that track and I think it was a pre-recorded thing. Mm-hmm. I don't remember exactly. And with the kid of the other guy, makes sense. Why? Because Jack Black, it's one of the very few vocal proponents of rock music in the pop sphere. Yeah. So makes sense. Mm-hmm. And he had he had a chance to meet Dio as well in that movie.
Yeah, Tenacious D.
Yeah. Makes sense for him to have some form of interaction with Ozzy.
And Dio nailed that part. It was badass.
It's probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, so good.
I think it's whatever, Kickapoo.
Yeah, where?
The song.
Yeah, but...
It's very cool, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that section's badass.
So Dio always delivered.
Yeah.
And actually,
speaking of Dio...
Yeah, now that we brought Dio into the conversation...
I was pissed off by that. Mm-hmm. No tracks from Heaven and Hell, Dehumanizer, or goddamn... Mob Rules.
And not even mentioned.
Not even mentioned.
And look, see, I saw bits and pieces, okay? So I think that there was no mention of Dio from what I saw. If any of you watching this live stream saw the whole thing, please confirm if there was or not a mention to Dio. Because this is actually something that, from what I saw, I didn't see anything.
Look, Roman here is saying, and I wasn't aware of this, Sharon fired a lot of bands that were supposed to play. She would only pay travel expenses. Many bands are going... Are you surprised?
Let's hold on this until we get to the business part of this conversation, okay?
Jesus Christ, I wasn't aware of that detail. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing with us, yes. But regardless.
Yeah, let's stick to the music.
Dio.
Dio,
even though he was for way less time a part
3 albums.
A part of Black Sabbath, is still a very integral part of Black Sabbath's history and music history.
Yes.
Those 3 albums, even though they don't necessarily define Black Sabbath,
it did. But it was so good. No, for real, because I think they even got to a feud back in 2008 because they reunited. I actually had the chance to see them perform live.
What was the ensemble? Who
Carmen instead of Bill, and Geezer and Tommy and Ronnie.
So the best lineup.
The best lineup ever, and I had just to see him live. So
change your mind.
Yes. Yeah. You want that where? No, but and it was a success that world tour that they did as a reunion. That they decided to let's hang around again and let's write another a 4th album with this lineup.
Yeah.
Somebody get in there, probably named Sharon, and stop him from using the name Black Sabbath. So they had to release it as Heaven and Hell, and the album is The Devil You Know, or that might be Bible Black is the name of the title track, and I think it's the Devil You Know the album name. And the band is called Heaven and Hell. Look it up. You're gonna be damn. And listen to Bible Black is damn.
And it was supposed to be Black Sabbath.
It was meant to be a Black Sabbath album. And they couldn't use the name Black Sabbath because Dio was there. Many things. So I assume that the confrontation was still on when they decided to do this.
Yeah.
Or maybe rights. I don't think it's rights, man. I think it's more about... He's more spiteful than actual legalese.
But look, now seeing the moment for what it was supposed to be, which was an ode to Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, but Osbourne being
part of
Black Sabbath. I think it's quite disrespectful, regardless of where they stand, personally speaking, not to bring Dio into the fray.
Yes.
Because he was an integral part of the band for a good chunk of time, and to go completely unremarked on an event that was to honor the band.
Yeah, a celebration of the history of the band.
Yeah, I think that's a low blow,
And
being very honest.
A decade, basically speaking of the history of the band, is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
And one of the most cherished around rock music in general, because this is beyond where you stand.
Yeah.
Plenty of everybody who has listened to those albums will say, I don't know if this is necessarily speaking full on Black Sabbath, because it sounds very different.
It does indeed.
But it's excellent rock music. It's fantastic metal. Heaven and Hell as a track is one of the best songs ever written by a rock band. Period. And the way they used to perform it was amazing, man. So it was very disappointing to see that no mention of Dio or any form of rendition of those tracks were part of the whole show.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it less from a musical perspective and more from a respect perspective.
Yes, I'm a stand on that regard as well.
Because once you put it yourself, like, regardless on where you stand on being better or worse or whatever.
If you like it more or not.
I personally think that it was a stars lineup with Dio, because Dio, and I'll say it out loud, Dio is a better singer.
Yeah.
Dio is a better singer than Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne is Ozzy Osbourne for a reason. Yeah. He has a personality that's entirely his own, and a style of singing that's entirely his own, and you might prefer that, and I won't say that you're wrong, preference-wise.
Yes.
But Dio is better.
Yep.
He's a better singer. He has better range. He has more control. He's actually one of the best singers we ever had
in history.
And rock and roll was defined by his singing.
Yeah, and ignoring him,
that
was a low blow. I wasn't happy by that. Now, Pantera.
Oh yeah.
That was with that. Let's call a spade a spade. It was bad, man.
Yeah.
Because they played Cowboys to Hell. Fail.
From Hell.
Cowboys from Hell. Yeah. Cowboys. Yeah. That was mixing ACDC.
Yeah.
Where's ACDC? Get me?
Yeah.
But we gotta have Jack Black.
But now we know why some bands didn't.
Yeah, I get it, and I totally see why they would reject the opportunity. But that's not an opportunity. I mean, you're cashing on me.
Yeah. Because
so
you just want to throw my name at the billboard.
Yeah.
And without me getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not that it was a bunch of nobodies or up and coming.
No, we're talking big names.
Big established names.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pantera was very disappointing.
Yeah, the singer didn't really.
No. He was kind of, he looked very out of shape. It's been a while since I saw him, and I always had in my head, the image of him being like kind of buffed, and he looked bad, man. And the performance was kind of low energy.
Yeah, I think once again, what I said about the Ghost singer, I felt that the music was bigger than the performer.
But in the case of Ghost, Tobias is the name, I think. He was not singing his music.
Oh yeah, that's also.
And there was playing Cowboys from Hell.
Yeah, and he still wasn't delivering.
And they were super drop tuned as well, super low tuning. Come on, man. Cowboys from Hell is not necessarily a tough voice to match.
It's a good song.
It is a badass song. Very good song, man. So yeah, I don't know how could they pull. Whatever. It was disappointing. I'm gonna put it there.
Yeah.
So now going to the nitty-gritty, the business side. Don't you feel that it was kind of cash grabby?
I think it was. I think if we as audience, now thinking from the audience perspective first.
Yes.
What they created with that event, the moment that they delivered, was something that from an audience perspective is kind of remarkable, because to be able to see so many of your beloved artists in one place put together is something that is to be cherished as a...
It's called a festival. It happens every year.
Yes, let's call it a festival. But the lineup is a great one. And it's a great mix and match of assortment of musicians.
Yeah, but festivals tend to have good lineups.
Regardless. I think they toned up the emotional aspect of it. They actually kind of worked it very consciously to make the audience kind of... to put the emotional layer to the whole thing. I think they did it well, but it shows that it was kind of like a move. You know, like it feels like they were trying
like
to get that out of you.
It feels like a business decision rather than an actual.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not gonna try to convince the world that music is not a business. There is a music. It's called the music business for a reason.
Yeah.
And everything done, even this what we're doing, is driven by a monetary interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it rolls. It's like that.
Yeah.
There are ways to do it, man.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the whole thing felt like it was kind of trying to capitalize not on the fans of Black Sabbath, but millennials and posers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be as blunt as I can, okay? It's not that it's not difficult for me. Now maybe we're blunt in this one, because when I was doing my scouting as well and watching different videos posted online, I realized that the audience, all of them were in between 30 to 45 to 48. The vast majority, of course, hashtag not all.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why would you be? Why? It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember, wait a second. Ozzy Osbourne was huge when I was a kid, but not due to music, due to the show. So a good chunk of these guys knows Black Sabbath out of making fun of Ozzy Osbourne's antics.
Yeah.
For those of you who are not aware of this, Ozzy Osbourne had a reality show, a reality TV show on MTV that was super successful called The Osbournes, and it was awful.
Yeah.
But I just watched the first episode. Okay, I loved Ozzy Osbourne. I was already quite into music back then. Okay, this is gonna be, at least I like the guy. But then I watched the first episode and I realized this is making fun of his condition, man.
Yeah.
This is awful, and it was basically reality my ass, and it was more about his antics and stupidity rather than actual the life of a musician, because that's what intrigued me.
Yeah, and it was more about showing his state of fucked upness.
Than actually something of substance.
Yeah.
So yes, here Roman here is sharing with us the ticket prices. Gold Circle. It was everything's in sterling, okay?
Okay.
412 pounds. General admission. I assume that the Gold Circle is probably the one at the front. It's not necessarily that expensive. It's usually the price for a good festival. The top. This is in front row, man.
Okay. No.
Because I assume because from there onwards the prices drop. Then general admission 262. Then from there you go from 197 all the way down to 392 sterling. So still within the range. It's top.
Not cheap, but it's not an absurd.
No, because I think that the show lasted almost like 8 hours. Something.
I think it was like 10.
It was a long show. Plenty of good bands. The whole apparatus was top notch, because even the looks on the stage was amazing.
Yeah.
From what I saw, probably one of the biggest stages I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it seems like they actually, even though it was a big stage and they had that one stage really well put together, it was one stage. It wasn't like festival with many different areas and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say that it was a gigantic production when talking about productions of this caliber.
Yeah, I can see your point. The thing is that usually festivals, the main stage is the only one where you actually get your money back when it comes to the show.
Yeah.
Because the smaller stages tend to be super humble. Which is the usual stage you see almost on a fair, on a town's fair. Why? Because it's way too expensive to have the same on the 3 stages if you got 3 stages. So, yeah, the show was in when it comes to the show itself, I think it delivered from what I saw. We already discussed our position when it comes to the highlights and the not necessarily the best parts of the show.
Yeah.
When it comes to the music. But I think the whole thing felt like a cash grab to a certain degree. Because coming back, let me finish this. The whole thing with the audience. To me, it feels like it was trying to capitalize on the popularity of these kind of old school classic rock bands that is garnering out of the success of the marvelous stuff. Because Iron Man.
Yeah.
They used Black Sabbath's Iron Man to promote them. To promote those movies. And when I saw the vast majority of the audience was not even young people, man, it's millennials. So almost some of them hitting middle age. Okay, you're not here. How many of you are actual fans? And how many of you are here just out of the, oh, I love Black Sabbath, why? Because I love the Iron Man movies.
I get you.
Get me? So again, I have no evidence to this, but it's just the impression that I got. Also, the lineup, the selection of bands was also bands that they made sure that millennials will resonate with.
Yeah.
Because where in the name of F is Exodus and Testament? God
Testament,
damn it.
of course.
Yes, and AC/DC for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably AC/DC didn't want to take the deal.
No, AC/DC think that. Wait a second. I'm beard. Yeah, actually they are.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. So.
Look, coming back to Sharon a little bit, because she's basically
the manager.
The manager. She's taking control of the business side of Ozzy Osbourne as a brand and
as a person at this too.
Yeah, and look, I put it like that because I think she already showed the world that she's willing to throw Ozzy under the bus for the business side of things. Because even the TV show, as you put it, is about making fun of Ozzy more than seeing a badass rock and roller being a badass rock and roller.
Yes.
So I see this to some degree as another instance of this. It's better packaged, the show, because of the whole thing about the farewell and the gathering of musicians and everything is a good package.
Yeah.
But still, at its core, I think it was indeed a cash grab, and it was kind of unfair to Ozzy to some degree, because it was done at a point where he couldn't deliver what he should and what he did.
Yes. And to me, it was sad to see him not singing the whole show, trying to sing, while sitting.
Yeah.
Because I don't want... The problem is that's now my last memory of him.
And it's going to be for the amount of people that saw this.
And forever, man, because everybody's going to see those photos, he's going to see this footage, man. And he's not going to go down, as I remember him before this. That's why it pissed me off. Because in my head, and this is totally my own opinion, okay, and you can think wherever you want. This is just me sharing my thoughts on the internet. What could go wrong?
Well, many things.
In my head, it felt almost like elderly abuse. Being very honest, because man, the dude he's not well, man. When you see him, besides the rest of the original Black Sabbath lineup, all of them look like in health, in good shape, healthy, but older. And in the case of Tommy and Geezer, they look excellent.
Yeah, and they delivered
in shape, or even in shape. Bill Ward is a little bit chubby, but he doesn't look sick or decrepit, man. But Ozzy, and I didn't like him, man. Being very, very, very honest, and probably because I like Ozzy so much, man. I respect him so much, and I appreciate his stuff. I even introduced you to his music.
Because I was not so versed on his solo career. I like Black Sabbath quite a lot, but
and I can see why you weren't into it, because of how much damage they did to him in the early 2000s due to the shows and the stuff that happened.
Yeah, because the image that I had of him, it's very bad, being very honest, because of that thing.
Sellout, kind of, right? No, but he has always been great, man. His music has always been fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know if they played Shot in the Dark. Please tell me.
I don't think so.
How dare they?
I might be wrong. Once again, I saw bits and pieces. I don't have the full picture in my head, but I didn't see it.
Me neither. That's why I'm asking. Here, Roman is saying, Sharon knows Ozzy is a cash cow. She's gonna milk Ozzy for all he's got until he's dead. I think you're correct.
You're 100% correct, man.
Yeah, that's impression that I got, because when I saw him rising up on the show, like, okay, maybe he's gonna be posing, right?
Yeah.
No, with the microphone on his. Oh, don't.
And look, this that you said is correct, and I find it to be very sad for the legacy of Ozzy.
Yes.
Being very honest, because he is a tremendously influential, impactful, important musician, and his legacy should be perpetuated, and he should remain a respected musician throughout.
Yes.
But some of the antics that were done on the business side of Ozzy Osbourne were very detrimental to his legacy.
Yes.
And I find it to be very sad from a musician point of view.
Yeah, because for as much as people are kind of aware of how much Sharon has, how much influence she has over everything negative about this, The damage is on us. It's not on her group, dude.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
she's gonna go down the road of strong, independent woman leading the rock industry and stuff. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see. And dude, I have respect for the Doña, because she's clever, man. I gotta admit that she's very good at business.
And marketing wise, she done some moves that, even though questionable, the
delivered.
results speak for themselves.
Yeah, so kudos to that, and tipping my poor fedora. But ethics, man.
Yeah.
There is a point in which, and this to me was the breaking point.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. Being very frank, I had a hard time trying to watch the thing, and I won't. Being very honest, I won't, because I already saw enough, and what I saw, I don't approve at a moral standpoint.
I get you.
Tell me, because it's like, no, man, this is not correct. This is not boosting or pushing rock music forward. It's once again everything that we see around us in pop culture or in art in general, rehashing. Is the remake? This is like the Marvel. It's like the live action remake of Little Mermaid. Get me? It felt like that. Yeah. Like, this is vandalism, because we don't need this.
No, I from a cultural, societal standpoint, I get where you're coming from. That's why even I began the conversation saying that I have very mixed feelings about it. I think they provided a very interesting, a very remarkable moment for the rock fans throughout the world. I think that it might be something that even reignites to some degree a passion for rock music, because, well, it was a remarkable moment on that regard. But I do get the point that it's kind of like a remake, because it's kind of just capitalizing on what has been done rather than establishing something moving forward. Quite the opposite, actually, the ending. But it does feel like a cash grab, and it feels more like a nail in the coffin rather than a door opening to a new moment.
And look, I can see where you stand, but let's put it this way. Why was Jason Momoa there?
Because Aquaman.
Because he's popular among that crowd.
Yeah.
And I don't have issues with the guy. I don't know him personally yet. And being honest, the impression that I get from him, he feels non-genuine.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I get you. No,
I feel him to be forced. He's playing a character in front of us. But I might be wrong, okay? This is the impression that I get of him out of the antics that I have seen him doing. Hashtag I am probably incorrect, but I might not as well.
No.
So
we don't have the data.
Yeah, and having a top celebrity hosting a metal show, how does that make sense to you? Where is the truth in that?
Yeah.
Dude, it feels super manufactured.
It does.
The entire thing felt, in my humble opinion again, as a gigantic cash grab, for as much as it has great moments, because that thing with Steven Tyler was kick-ass.
Yeah, it was badass.
Alice in Chains also delivering great, Metallica kicking Mayer. It was good to see him not making me angry.
for a
change, the things that... But as a whole, by virtue of principle, no, man, I don't condone it. I feel that it's wrong in many levels, because it's the regurgitation of what works.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, they should have only new bands. No. But the idea of having this show with Ozzy Osbourne at this state, being clearly incapable of pulling off the stunt of performing live again at this level, man.
Yeah.
Bringing everybody that they knew could bring people in of all sorts of areas of life.
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah.
And everything on the superficial level, because ignoring a third of their history.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not... What's wrong with...
and it's, once again, coming back to the core of what the moment was supposed to be. It was a closure moment in the history of someone who was deeply impactful in music.
A band.
At this point, let's put it someone, because it was about Ozzy more than it was about Black Sabbath.
That's
in theory.
That's the problem already. That's the problem already. Because this should have been about Black Sabbath, but everybody's talking about Ozzy. Because again.
Yeah. But I think you get to that point in time, they are as rich, as famous, and as influential as they ever gonna be. They don't need any more of any of those. I think this is the perfect opportunity to give back to the audience, to do something that's gonna be memorable.
Yes.
Okay. And I felt that the business side of it all was way too big for what it was supposed to be.
Because
that's why it has this feel of being kind of like a cash grab.
Because if the intent was actually giving something back to the audience, it would have been free.
Yeah.
Why? Because they would have been the ones absorbing the blow.
Yeah.
Because nothing is for free. No. But they would have been the ones, or they would have given some money away for charity or something.
No, but they did. They
did. Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah. That's good to hear. I wasn't aware of that. At least that's good.
Yeah, that's a part of the whole thing.
Okay.
But still, it has that kind of commercial feel to the whole thing, and it shows itself in some objective things, but also that there's a feel behind it. And I don't know if you guys relate to it. It might be something that's just happening in my mind, but it did feel like a cash grab in many regards, even though it delivered on many aspects as well. We already talked about some of the highlights, and in many aspects it's a very fun moment.
Yeah.
But still, it has that kind of underlining.
There's a little bit of a stench, man. And being frank, probably a few decades into the future, we will see it for what it is. Get me? Because right now there's plenty of emotions involved. I might be the crazy one just shouting in the dark, hoping for someone to listen. But I even felt it wrong. From like if they were doing something wrong, someone I like. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I felt it personal. Yeah. And this is totally my own opinion. So take it for what it's worth. So basically nothing. So
look, we would love to know what you think about this. This is a very personal point of discussion because we're not necessarily stating facts here. There's some things that are objective, but on the most part, we're just giving our opinions.
Yes.
And we would love to know yours as well. And we have conversations like this on a weekly basis.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. And every Tuesday we're here at 5 p.m. Central. And we would love to have you as part of the conversation more often.
Yes.
And also, if you like this kind of stuff that we're doing here and would just like to have conversations about music happening more often, I think we should talk about music, especially music that doesn't suck, and some of the more serious aspects of how the music industry and everything culture related is kind of going nowadays, the good, the bad, and especially the bad.
And especially the ugly.
And especially the ugly. You can support us by first and foremost subscribing to the channel if you're not subscribed yet.
Yes.
Ringing the bell, that way you can be notified whenever we do this kind of things.
Yes.
And also listening to our music on Apple Music or Spotify, even though I forgot to use the overlay.
Yeah, but it's actually very influenced by Black Sabbath, I gotta admit.
Yeah.
Especially Dio.
Yeah.
Dio Black Sabbath.
And following us on other social medias as well as like Instagram and X, and where we keep the conversation going, the Discord, which the link is in the description below.
So, with that being said, the only thing left to be reminded is that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about, and please let us know what you think about this whole ordeal on the comment section down below. So, see you when I see you.